welcome to the Red Brick House. My name is Susan and this is a crafting channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you are returning washer, welcome back. Today I am starting something totally new to me. In the beginning of January, I had challenged myself to learn 5 new crafts. And one of those crafts was English paper piecing. Now, I have sewn hexagons before, but not doing English paper piecing. I've never done any kind of English paper piecing, but I've been wanting to learn because it looks like a really good way to piece together those hexagons and maybe other tricky shapes. And so I have a template here that I'm going to use. This was my mom's that I've kept, and I'm going to use it to go ahead and cut out my fabric. I don't know if this is cheating or not, but I did order some paper hexagons that are already cut out for me because I don't have, I know some people have like a die cut, for the hexagon, and they have paper, recycled paper, but I don't really have any kind of good paper to use for that. And so I'm just going to, I just purchased mine, I already purchased them. They're on the way. I purchased them from Amazon, and I think I got about 300 for about $7, $8, something like that. These are 2-inch hexagons. That's what I'm going to be using. But since I have this template, while I'm waiting for those little papers to arrive, I can go ahead and start cutting out some fabric. So let's get started. But I forgot to tell you what I'm making. I'm going to make a little centerpiece for my table. Now, at first I was going to call it a table runner, but it's not really going to run down my table. It's not going to be that long. It's only going to be about 2 feet, 2.5 feet by 1.5 feet. So it's just going to kind of sit in the middle of my table. And I thought that was a good size project for something new to me that I've never done before. So I'm really excited. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I think I'm going to learn a lot. So come along with me and let's get started.
I started out by cutting my fabric into smaller pieces. Then I made a fabric hexagon from my plastic template and began cutting out my fabric. I found a paper clip to be quite useful in holding the fabric together while I cut out the hexagons. On some of my fabrics, I cut the hexagons so that I would have a whole bunny, for example, on the hexagon shape. Like this little guy here. Isn't he cute? I just love all these prints.
Okay, so an unfortunate series of events has happened. No, I'm just kidding. It's not that bad. I got a message from Amazon saying that they were canceling my order for my paper hexagons due to a lack of availability. So I looked into some other options. I tried to find a punch for them, and I couldn't really find one that I wanted to pay the money they wanted for it. They were a little bit overpriced, I felt like. And I couldn't find anybody selling these. I thought there would be some Etsy sellers, like just selling these maybe already done, and I didn't find any really. So
I am going to just cut mine out by hand. I have this little template like I showed earlier, and from that I made a pretty hard, this is kind of like chipboard, but it's not that thick. And I think this came at the back of like photo paper. I think as a base to keep it from wrinkling. I think that's what this is. So I cut a template out of that, and I've been using it to cut out my papers. I have about, I don't know, 10 to 15 here already. When I did some math to try to figure out how many hexagons I was going to need, because I didn't want to cut out way too many or, get down to it and not have enough. So with my math calculations, I have figured out that I need 135 hexagons. Now I'm going to cut out a few more than that just in case I'm wrong. But I'm using this cardstock paper. I already owned this, so I didn't have to really buy anything for it. And this is 110-pound paper. So if that gives you any idea. I hope that they're strong enough. I think it will be. It was the strongest paper that I had on hand. And I always like to use what I have first before purchasing things. And so I've been cutting those out. I'm just going to keep cutting them out. I'm trying to be as super accurate as I can. That is the only, the main reason why I wanted to buy pre-cut templates or these little papers, because, these hands are not machines. And they're probably going to make mistakes, and they're not going to be perfect. Like, as hard as I tried, you can tell that these are not, they're pretty good. I mean, they're not bad, but they're not perfect. And so I'm hoping that it's just going to be accurate enough for my purpose and that it'll all turn out okay. So that's where I am with that. So I'm just going to keep cutting these out until I have enough. Okay, I am so eager to get started sewing. I have all of these fabrics cut out. Now each stack has about maybe 15 to 20 pieces of hexagons in there. And so I think that's a good start. I can always cut out more if I need more. And then I think I have about 120 maybe of these paper templates that I've made. And so I am planning to start thread basting. Now I know that some people like to glue baste, but for me, I really love the process of hand stitching. And so I am going to be thread basting mine. And I'm also going to be basting mine into the paper. I know a lot of people try to go around the paper and just use the paper as a guide, but I will actually be basting mine into the paper because I want it really secure, especially since this is my first project. And so with that said, let's get started. Okay. So as you can see here, mine totally shifted as I was doing this. So I'm gonna stop here because it's pretty bad. I can't even flip that over. So I'm gonna take this apart and I'm gonna start again. And this time I'm gonna use my paper clips to hold it in place. I don't have any of the little like orchid clips, is what I call them. So, but that's okay. I'm just gonna take this out. And we'll try again. This is my first attempt, so it's understandable there would be mistakes. Actually, this first one's not too bad. It kind of moved like that, so okay. So I think I'm going to do that one right there. And we'll see if that works. So I'm going to rethread my needle and start stitching again. Now I'm going to come back through here and I'm going to trim it off. Okay. Well, I did it. It's very tight. I think that maybe I need to be a little more relaxed and not stretch the fabric so tight, because you can tell how tight I did it because it's folding in. So I'm gonna work on that. I think it's just gonna come with practice. But I did it. There's one. One is done. Okay, that one was much better. Cute little chickens. Okay, I think after a while I'm gonna get in a rhythm. It was a little bit thin on this side, but better than the first one. Hexagon number 2. Okay, I've made quite a bit of progress here. I have 90 of these hexagons with the papers in the back. I've really enjoyed it once I kind of got an idea of how to do it, and then I kind of, found my own way into how to do them. They started going pretty quickly, but I am running out of these papers that I made. I only have about 10 of these left, and I need 135, I think, total. So either I have to cut out more of these papers, or I can start sewing those together, and then after they're sewn together, I can take out some of those papers and reuse them. And I am quite eager to start sewing those together and see what that process is like. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and do a little bit of that on camera, and let's see, and I'll show you how I'm going to do it. I'm just gonna kind of pick just kind of random, but not really random. I don't want the same ones. I think I have about 8 to 10 different like prints and patterns, and so I'm hoping that that will be fine, so that it won't be too redundant. I really don't want 2 of the same color together. Otherwise, I really don't care how they go together as far as the color variation goes. So to sew them together, I'm going to, of course, put right sides together. And I have a needle and thread here. Now, I'm not really much of a thread snob. I'm not really particular about my thread here. This is just I'm pretty sure it's a cotton thread. It's an old thread. that was in my mom's stash that I took. And so that's what I'm using. I used it for basting. When I've watched other people do this, I've noticed that you really can't see the stitches between. If I was sewing on the outside of these, then that'd be different, but I don't think it's going to matter that it's purple. So I'm going to hold these two together. I have knotted my thread, and I'm going to start at the very corner. You know what? I'm going to use, I haven't done this before. I'm doing this on camera for the first time here. You saw it first. Okay, let's see. Maybe that paper clip will help keep that in place there. And I am just going to go through. I really don't want to go through the paper. So I'm going to try hard, but I did wrap my fabric pretty close to the paper, so it's a possibility that it might happen. I don't know. Now I put a knot. I've seen other people like make their own knot while they're sewing. I don't know if I need to do that or not. So I'm sure you all who have done this a lot probably have lots of opinions on how to do this. And so I would be curious to hear your positive suggestions for me or critique on what I'm doing wrong, if I'm doing something wrong. But I feel like most crafting can be done in lots of different ways. I'm going to do a whip stitch across here is what I'm doing. I'm going to try to keep them pretty close together. I don't really know how close together they need to be. So if you see that if you think I'm putting them too close or not far or not close enough, let me know, because I really kind of don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just doing it. That's how I learn. I do it, and if it doesn't come out right, then I'll know next time to do it differently. It's wonderful when you have people in your life that can kind of teach you how to do these things, and that's why I find YouTube such a valuable resource, because these things, not everybody does these things. If I walked out the door today and I went and knocked on some of my neighbors' doors, how many of them do you think would know how to do English paper piecing and could teach me? Like, I wonder. I'm going to go do a survey. I think that'd be really interesting to know how many people would know how to do it. There might be a couple in my neighborhood. There might be a few. But I don't know. It makes me really sad when I see fabric stores closing down. Recently, I've noticed that Walmart has taken out their fabric section, and now they just have pre-cut pieces of fabric, and that's all they have. And there's a situation with Joann's going on. It's just kind of concerning. And, we have one local store in our community that they do a lot of they're more based on quilting. They're a sewing store. Like they have machine repair, and they offer classes and things like that. So I don't know if they offer any classes on this kind of quilting. It seems to me that a lot of their quilting is done on machine, and a lot of it is it's classes on how to work these new fancy machines that have all these digital features and stuff. And, that's more of what their classes are for. They don't do classes like this, I don't think. Like how to hand stitch. Like, I just think classes like that would be fantastic. Now, I do think there's a quilting group that meets at our public library. I might have to look into that. But I think there is one, and that might be something fun to join, because it's free, it's open to everyone. It's not like, a club. It's just for people to come and converse and do their craft. And I really need to look into that. That way I can meet some people that do the same things that I like to do. It'd be fun to have a group of people to talk to and converse with and talk about, hey, you're putting your stitches really close together. You don't need to have them that close together, and it would save you a lot of time. See, if somebody could tell me that, that'd be fantastic.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just rambling on here. I'm almost done. I'm almost to the end, and then I'll move on with the video. But sometimes I like just talking with you about things. Okay, I think that creates a community. I don't want just to be a person who puts out videos. I'd like to be a person who, you know, can feel like we have a connection with people even though we don't live in the same place. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. I'm at the end of this little row. Now, I don't know whether to tie a knot here. I'm going to. I'm gonna tie a little knot. Ooh, my thread's, like, my thread waits to the very last stitch to go naughty on me. There. Okay, now I'm gonna go, okay, I'm gonna go through the loop and make a knot. Okay, and then one more time because I'm just want to be safe there. Okay, then we're gonna open it up and see what it looks like, my very first one. I'm excited. Hope it looks right. Okay, so there's my stitches. I'm glad I did the purple because I think it's easier to see on the yellow there. There's quite a few little stitches there, but I think that's fine. Okay, let me take off my paper clip. I don't want to pull my fabric here. Oh, it's pulling on the other side. I don't want to mess that up. Okay. All right, here we go. Oh, it looks pretty good. Oh, that's my basting stitch. I thought it was a loose thread. Sorry. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Cat hair. Of course, there'd be cat hair on my stuff. My little friend is not around today. He has been sleeping on a, like a Snuggie that I had to go outside and feed the birds in, and I laid it on the back of the chair and it kind of flopped over on the table, and he has been sleeping on that all day. So that's probably where he is right now. But look at that. Okay, I'm kind of happy with that. Okay, so now I'm gonna sew maybe another one because that was fun. I won't talk the entire time, but oh, I like it like that. Okay, so now I'm going to flip that down and I'm gonna sew these two together. And once that's sewn together, then I'm gonna turn it this way the best I can. And I'm gonna sew that side, those two sides together. That's the plan. So, oh, this is fun to watch it come together. Okay. Okay, I wanted to show you my progress. I am really liking how it's coming together. I was very surprised at how sewing these hexagons together was going much faster than basting all these on these papers. This to me took way longer than this. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Also having to cut out my papers also kind of added some time to this project. Now I did go ahead and cut out the rest of the papers that I needed and actually cut out a few extras, which is fine. But I am liking how it's going together. I wish that I would have had some other solid color fabrics because I feel like these are just, they go together, but they're very busy. Like each one of them is just very, very busy. And sometimes your eyes kind of need a place to rest, you know? And so I wish that I had some more solid, or even some like this that are just a little bit more, I don't know, calm, I guess, not just so busy like these. That's the only other thing that I kind of wish I would have thought about that when I was putting these fabrics together. So that is something that I learned that I can think about going forward in the future if I make something else with these hexagons or quilting just in general, is maybe that's something I will think about.
Also, I don't know how people typically put these together. I've only watched a few people doing English paper piecing, so I could just kind of learn the basics of it. But do you make your English paper piecing in blocks? Like maybe you would make a 10-inch sort of block, and then maybe you would make another one, and then make another one, and then make another one, and then piece them together? Or do you just piece them one at a time until your project is complete? I'm curious of how people do that. I'm sure people probably do it both ways. But let me know your thoughts on that. If you do this craft quite often, I would love to hear that. For me, I've just been placing them one at a time. I've been pulling them just kind of random out of my box, and then I'll kind of look and see, like I wouldn't want to put this one right beside that one because they're very similar. And I might not want to put it here because I have another one right here. So I might put it over here. So that's kind of what I've been doing and just piecing it like that. I do have my width here completed. So this will be the width of my table runner or my little centerpiece. I don't know if I'll call it a table runner now, since I've kind of shortened it. It's going to be a short table runner, but it's coming along. I enjoy working on it. I do think it's going to take me a little bit longer than maybe what I originally thought, because I do want, when this is finished, to add some batting and then a back fabric. I'm kind of contemplating on what I'm going to do on the edges. I think I'm just going to leave them like this instead of making half hexagons. I think I'm going to just leave them be and have this like, zigzaggy edge here. But I do want to back it with a solid piece of fabric and put batting in between and stitch that down. I may not stitch around all of these, like quilt around them, but I would really like to. And there's a plane coming over. Of course. Every time somebody starts filming, a plane goes by. Somewhere in the world, I'm telling you. Okay, anyway, I would really like to do that. I'd really like to take the time to quilt each one of these. I mean, it's not a huge project like a quilt would be. So, but I think it might be done later though. I might not do it right now in this video. Like you might not see me doing it in this video. I may work on that later on, but I think this is such a fun project to do, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm sure that I will do different hexagon or just different English paper piecing in the future because I am really enjoying it. So with that said, I'm just going to keep working, and I will come back when I have more to tell you.
Okay, I've gotten it all sewn together. I'm so excited to have that completed. So on the edges, I just kind of did a little, not really decorative, but I just kind of had it come to a point on the edge, on the ends, which I kind of like. And I didn't make it as wide as I originally had wanted, so I did have some hexagons left over. And I was going to make it wider, but to add another row, I wouldn't have been able to do this end because I needed an odd number here on the end. So then I would have had to do 2 more rows, and that I didn't know if I had enough hexagons for that. So it's just a little bit more narrow than originally I wanted, but I really do, I do like the ends. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about is now it's time to take the papers out, and I'm realizing that I kind of like how the back looks. It looks really neat. I'm kind of realizing that maybe I should have basted and stitched in 2 different colors, because I did it all in the same thread. And what I was going to do when I basted all the hexagons, the fabric onto the paper, when I did that, I
had originally thought that I would cut the knot and just pull it out and be done and pull the paper out. But now I don't know which knot to cut because I did them in the same, I'll bring it up close. I did it in the same thread. So I learned that lesson because see, like right here, I have a knot here and then I have a knot there. And I'm afraid, like, what if I cut it and I take out these stitches instead of my basting stitches? So that's my dilemma at the moment. I don't know how hard it's going to be to take these papers out, but some of them were popping out a little bit while I was working on it, like right here. I don't know if this happens often or if it's just the way I basted them, but like you can see, like this one's kind of popping out. And so I don't know, but I'm going to, I think I'm going to turn it over and like, I'm just going to pick a place to start. And I think I'm just going, I might get a seam ripper or something to make this easier, but I think I'm just going to pull out these threads. And I'm glad I started with a small project because, okay, now I know where to pull. So I would just pull that knot out. Okay, so I'm glad I did start with a smaller project because, you know, you learn so many things the first time you do something. I mean, you probably learn some things the second time you do something new, but especially the first time, you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to do that different next time. And that's, you know, that's just the learning curve as it goes with anything. So I'm going to get started taking out these basting stitches and taking out these papers. Now I have all the basting stitches removed and some of the papers have already started falling out, so that is promising. And I have a nice pile of threads that I can use later for stuffing in another project. Okay, now let's take out these papers. A few of them are sewn in, but they were not too hard to remove. Now let's put it all together. I chose this beautiful blue fabric out of my stash, and I am going to make a little quilt sandwich. I'm using quilting pins to secure it before sewing a few lines across the hexagons. Okay, now that I've kind of got it secure so it's not going to move around on me while I try to do the edging, my plan is to reduce this batting through here. So I'm going to cut the batting first, And then maybe, I don't know. I'm really undecided on how to do this. Okay, I kind of took a break from this project and I kind of slept on it because I wasn't sure how I was going to finish off this edge. I really wanted to keep this edge here, but it didn't work out the way that I was kind of pictured it in my brain. And not ever doing this before, you know, this is totally new for me. So I think I've made a decision on how I'm going to do it. After watching a couple of YouTube videos of how people have finished off their hexagon, you know, projects, I think what I'm going to do for this project is I'm going to cut right across here. I'm going to have to mend this a little bit where I cut it off right here. If you can see, I'm going to have to kind of fix that. But I'm going to cut it off right there, and it's just going to be a straight edge on both ends. And then on the sides over here, let me move it so you can see it. On the sides right here, I'm going to pretty much keep them the same. Nothing's really going to change on the sides. I am going to fold it over like that, iron it, and then I'm going to fold it over again, and I'm going to sew it down like that. So it will look like that. It will just have this blue edge. I don't love it, but it's better than, to me, it's better than like cutting all these off. And since I already kind of stitched it onto here, I don't really want to unpick all of that. Okay, so I'm not going to cut this blue fabric. I don't want to cut that, but I am going to cut the batting. Actually, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fold that blue fabric behind it. And then I'm going to cut across here. Making sure I'm not cutting anything I'm not supposed to, and I'll try to keep my head out of the way. I'm scared. So I keep flipping it over. Okay. All right, no, it should be good. Okay, so now I have a straight edge. And like I said, I just have to fix this blue spot right there. I'm going to kind of trim this up a little bit. There we go. So I have this hem adhesive, this heat and bond. And although I don't like using stuff like this, but sometimes it's necessary. And I don't know why I don't like using it. I just don't like the idea of having glue in my fabric. I don't know. But I'm going to do it because it's needed. It's a necessity. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this. I'm going to place it right here. And then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to iron it. And that will activate the glue. And it will be healed on this side.
I decided this project looked better on my coffee table, so I will be using it here along with a few spring decorations. am really happy with how it turned out in the end. I love the blue trim. I think it goes well with my rug and the paper eggs in the basket. I hope this video will inspire you to try a new craft that has been calling out to you, like this one was to me. Are you learning any new crafts this year? I would love to hear about them. Have a blessed week, and I will see you next Thursday with another project. Bye.